Cats are beautiful. Cats are beautiful. All cats are beautiful. Cats are beautiful. A cab.
It's also interesting talking about the police. What's happening today? I don't know if any of you read, but Jeffrey Epstein has supposedly killed himself in prison. He's like the billionaire who had like a paedophile ring, and was being charged for lots of sex offences. And basically, it's really frustrating because at the moment the discussion is so much around. Well, first of all, it's very suspicious the circumstances around which he died because, it's very convenient for a lot of the billionaire pedophiles that he has committed suicide because all the information that he had is now gone because he's died. And also the fact that he's dead is also very suspicious because he should have been under surveillance at all times to make sure that nothing like that happens. So it kind of seems like, without being too conspiratorial, that I don't know if it was necessarily actually a suicide, or if it was a suicide, how he was able to do that is very suspicious. But anyway, the discussion is very much around the fact that, he wasn't punished, he wasn't able to be punished, that is the issue here. And it's frustrating that, I can understand why it's frustrating that he wasn't able to be punished, but at the same time, I feel like the discussion should be about the wider systemic issues going on, and how how something like that is able to happen in the first place, the information that is now lost because of his death, and the police, the focus on individuals is also is really frustrating. It shouldn't just be about him as an individual. And also, we should be having a discussion about why do prisons really serve as punishment? And I don't know, I'm rambling, but what I mean.
It is huge what you're saying.
Super important.
One of the things is how they use this revenge thing. I think Peter Coffin put it very well in a tweet, saying that revenge is not justice. So if you're focused on revenge, you're appealing to all the right wing conservative talking points, all the bile and all the when I hate everybody, all that bullshit, And also, you're distracting from the conversation that should be had, which is what you pointed out very well, Catherine. The systemic part. How could this happen in the first place? And it's not about the guy; it's about the system that puts, slave girls, to be raped by billionaires, by all those parasites that they're in their mind. They're probably just doing all right because they're entitled to it in their mind, in their fucking mindset. But it's so sick, it's so systemic that they are entitled in the first place in our culture, not individually, but what kind of culture says that those privileged motherfuckers are allowed to rape children? What is going on?
How having money grants you impunity, the kind of preventative measures that we should be putting into place, pedophilic culture in general, and how pedophiles are kind of created through the kind of beauty standards that we have and everything like that. I don't know, there's loads of discussions that should be had, but again, we live in such an individualistic culture that of course it's just focused on him as the individual. But I also think that the discussion should link into Trump and the allegations that have been made against him in relation to pedophilia. And it's also suspicious given the relationship between Trump and Epstein now that he's dead. A lot of information that could potentially have come out about Trump has now been completely lost due to his death. So I think that's also quite suspicious.
Catherine, I think Heffy wants to tell you something. Video worth material. I think you're the right person to make that analysis. I would encourage you to go for it.
Yeah. I think I might make a video. Yeah, my personal experiences probably help.
Hell yeah, and I'll help you on whatever I can. Hell
Yeah.
yeah! I mean, what you brought up to the table, that's super important.
It's huge.
Oh, there's so much to. Oh, you see, that's why I like hanging with you guys.
Yeah.
It's like
The three of you are so damn smart that I just feel like just a, I don't know, absent-minded. I don't know how to describe myself.
I beg your pardon. In this side, you know, Heffy is the smart one. I'm not.
Heffy is Chairman Heffy.
I'm the smart one, motherfuckers. This guy doesn't know shit.
He pretends not to know
also
shit
hate
because
how
he's humble.
I hate so much as well that it's always justice for the like it's not justice for the victim, it's justice for like the perpetrator.
Yep.
And that's so frustrating as well because like, you know, for the victims it's, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone else, but I feel like preventative measures being put in place is more of a kind of seeking some kind of a form of justice surrounding the issue than like one person being locked away. So
here in Brazil, we also have a great discussion about anti-punitivism, where we try to move away from just punishing the criminals and trying to reform them. I think that's the only good kind of reform, you know, of criminal. Of course, there are people you can't just reform, you know. I don't think anyone would want to have that guy back in society, because like the problem is not how we are going to deal with the criminals that already did the bad thing. We have to think about how we're going to prevent new crimes to be committed, you know. One of Bolsonaro's proposal was the chemical castration of rapists and pedophiles, and they used the fact that we are against that, like the Brazilian left is against the chemical castration against us, like we are defending rapists, when the fact is that doing that, like castrating men, won't stop them from raping, you know. And they already hated someone, you know. We have to, one, help the victim, and two, work to stop further rapes, you know.
Yeah, but that doesn't address the systemic things that make men rape.
Totally.
Exactly. We have to address that, not just punish. Because punishing them is the last thing we have to do, you know.
yeah,
It won't solve anything.
and a lot of people argue as well that like rape and sexual abuse in general isn't even about the sex, but it's about the power dynamics and the feeling of power. So I think I don't think castration is ever going to be like a solution. And there's so much evidence that no matter what level of punishment that you have, it doesn't actually prevent crimes from happening. I think it's even true that in the US, for those states in which there's a death penalty, they actually have a higher rate of crimes than in places where they don't have a death penalty. So it's not even as if it works. I think as well, I am a prison abolitionist, but I often get people say to me, because I went to the police and I reported the crimes of this man and he's now in prison for 13 years. A lot of people say, well, you can't really be a prison abolitionist if you went to the police yourself and used like the prison system. But I think that's just such a kind of, I don't know, within our system, that's the only thing that's made available to us at the moment. And if I needed to report with sexual abuse, like obviously if I had my way, I would have much preferred that this man that his crimes I reported were rehabilitated. But since that's not something that's available to me at the moment, the only alternative was to use the police. And I don't think that you should be considered less of a prison abolitionist for doing that.
Exactly. Because even in your perfect society that we try to form here, that guy wouldn't be walking around, you know. We shouldn't let him have the opportunity to come around you anymore. Of course, we should be able to reform that person, but until then, he can't just be going around. The thing about abolishing prison is that we have to have something to put in place of that.
Massage.
Yeah.
Terrible massages. Calloused hand, terrible massages. But massages, nonetheless,
we
were
are
kind.
trying to eliminate. Yeah, we're trying to eliminate the systemic things that make these people bad. But even then, there will still be bad people.
Yeah, and therapy, most violent or most aggressions happen out of places of fear and insecurity and whatnot, and there is always a systemic element of entitlement. Most aggressions come from entitlement and from structural aggressions that are already ongoing. So what individual criminals do is they come from a place of fear, insecurity, a place of a bad place anyway, and they do a bad thing, and just punishing the individual and we send you to jail and then they're gonna treat you like shit is not gonna fix anything, because the deterrent here supposedly is the fear of going to prison. My dad was in prison and he told me that's one of the very few advices he gave me is like, don't go to prison. It's a waste of time. It's awful. So, it's not worth going to prison if prison doesn't involve therapy. It doesn't involve psychology saying, okay, these things that understand that things happen from places of fear, that happen from places of basically fear is the main motivator for crime. Is like if you steal, it's from fear out of poverty, and if you hit someone in the face, it's because you fear them. For instance, I don't know. It's all sorts of crimes and all sorts of different situations. It's very difficult to generalize in these cases, but that punishing the individual is not going to solve anything.